Hey, this is Steve, Nashville, Tennessee, and you're listening to Count It Off.
Well, guess what, people? It is Count It Off, Nashville, Tennessee, kicking off another show here. And I've got some wonderful people with me, some old friends here, and new friends, I guess you'd say. Rusty Van Sickle and his son Whitley. And we've actually been co-writers. Rusty's played with a bunch of great people. We'll talk about that. And, we just had some general chatter about being a Nashville artist and songwriter. And so to get the show started, we're going to call on our friend Magic Marsha. Kick it off.
Welcome to Count It Off with your host, Jeff Dayton, where we explore the world of music through the eyes of some fascinating guests. So get tuned up and let's count it off.
And Rusty, you probably recognize that voice. That's Marsha Ramirez.
Yeah, I thought that's...
Yeah, she'll be a guest this week, as a matter of fact. We're going to record her interview this week.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of people. Chris Lusinger's coming along this week. The show's building up steam, and I'm glad you made time. You drove all the way from nearly Kentucky to get here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
I appreciate you having us.
And Whitley, good to have you here.
It's good to be here too.
Yeah.
This is really fun.
Is this your very first podcast?
I think so. First podcast. Have you done a podcast before?
I have.
You have?
I have.
So your very first podcast, huh?
Yeah, first podcast. I'm very grateful to be here. Thanks
All
for
right,
letting me come on and listen and maybe say a few words every now and then.
Well, yeah, but you got a lot to say. I mean, you're part of the young guard, Like one guy said he took bluegrass, turned it into newgrass, and Billy Strings, Molly Tuttle, Sierra Hull, all those people. And how old are you now?
I'm 19 now. Just turned 19 this year.
Wow, that's great. Well, my son Kessler should be back soon, and hopefully he can hang out with you guys for a minute. He's 22. Isn't it amazing how fast our kids grow up, Rusty?
I think the last time I saw him, he was in a height chair at the table.
Probably in a stroller or something like that. Or a bouncy chair in the doorway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Rusty and I have known each other a long time, and we better talk about music here before people start tuning out. I think I remember your story. You grew up in northern Ohio, right? Tell us where.
I grew up in a little town called Martin. Went to Genoa, which is just east of Toledo, about 20 minutes from Lake Erie. A lot of fishing. I grew up 45 minutes from Cedar Point and still have never been.
Wow. I don't know where Cedar Point is.
Big roller coaster place up there that people come from all over the world to go to.
Wow.
I've never been a fan of being out of control and putting my life into some carny's hands.
Yeah, true that. I remember one place up there in Ohio when I was with Lee Greenwood. We played a place where they make Longaberger baskets. Do you know?
Yeah,
you know where that is?
Southeastern Ohio, I believe, over there, kind of in the Amish.
Okay,
there's Amish country in southern Ohio.
Wow, that's great. I was telling that story on the Lee Greenwood episode that I've got coming up, or just had coming up. I forget where we are in the chronology of all of that stuff, but. Were you interested in country music growing up, or what was your?
Oh yeah,
was it?
Grew up in gospel music, playing drums in the family band, like most of us musicians do. Played drums till I was 15, and when I turned 15, I started wanting to play guitar, and I don't know, I guess woo the girls back then because it was hard to take your drum set to their house and set up and play a little tune.
Ride your bicycle over with your snare drum and kick drum on your back.
But no, it was the age of 15 that I started playing guitar. I got one, and we were in our house, Mom and Dad were very, I'm looking for the word, we weren't supposed to be listening to rock, we were very, very sheltered kind of when it come to music. Mm-hmm. I took a blank cassette tape one time and wrote Bon Jovi on it and just left it laying on my dresser, and my mom got mad and broke it in half. And
no music on it though.
That was me, just pushing buttons at a young age, But yeah, it was either gospel music or the country music that Dad had around the house, which at that time was Don Williams and Keith Whitley and Merle Haggard. And, Alabama,
all the 80s.
Steve Wariner, he had a Steve Wariner record. But I used to wear the Don Williams and the Keith Whitley out.
Oh, dude, and those are two of the greatest voices ever.
Yeah.
Well, Whitley, what about you? Do you remember music growing up? When was your first instrument? And tell us about that.
What would you say? I mean, my first instrument was guitar. There's pictures of me with a little kid's first act guitar.
Yeah, it was a guitar my granddaddy
got. The one that you used to be able to buy at Walmart?
Probably so.
Yeah. And that guy from one of those rock bands would pointing his finger at you like, buy this guitar.
Yeah, and it was always there, but I was never pushed to play any instruments or never anything like that. And I didn't pick it up until I was 16. Is that right?
2020, yeah.
I was about 16 years old when I first picked up guitar. And
Really?
started learning.
What were you listening to when you finally got around to that?
We were listening to a lot of Willie's Roadhouse, which is a Sirius XM station that just plays like old classic country, and I've just always loved that. And I love all types of music. One of my favorite artists is Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, there you go.
I love classic country, and there's nothing else quite like it.
Did you have the freedom to listen to what you wanted to, like kind of like Rusty was talking about?
I can listen to anything I want to, and I've always just come back to country.
I always, it angered me in life that I was kind of suppressed. I never pushed any kind of music. I never said what he could or couldn't listen to. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, he's listening to Doc Watson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite guitar player is Doc Watson.
Can you play a little Tennessee Stud for us, Lee?
I learned it at one point, but
he plays the hard stuff. He can Deepwater Blues or Deep River Blues, whatever it is.
That's great. The same with all of us. I think that, there's somebody early on in your life. For me, it was Flatt and Scruggs. And I loved that stuff, and the Kingston Trio, folk music to bluegrass. And I'm kind of coming around full circle. I'm working on a new record, and it's got bluegrass and some storytelling. So,
nice.
Getting away from the beach for a break. Most people take a break and go to the beach. I'm taking a break from the beach, but that's great. And then Whitley, what was it about guitar that appealed to you? Did you just want something to take over to girl's house that was smaller than a drum set, or what?
No, I think the first song I wanted to learn was Blackbird, and that's by the Beatles.
Yeah.
And that's a mainly acoustic guitar. So, there wasn't much, unless I just wanted to tap my foot along to the song and say I played foot. There wasn't much else I could do other than play guitar. So
yeah, we were in the, I call it the plandemic in 2020. All of us sitting in our houses. And a friend of mine, Jeff Lecision, had started doing just a Facebook Live each morning, and then another friend of ours would do a song, and I started doing it. Mm-hmm. Well, Whitley had heard one of Jeff's. It was when Joe Diffie passed. Jeff did Facebook Live that morning and did Blackbird. And for the next 2 weeks, I heard Whitley in his room trying to figure it out, and I'd kind of sneak. I was in a proud dad moment. I'd had my phone, and I'd stand outside his door, record a little smidgens of it, and send to Jeff. See what you started.
Oh, that's great. That was really the COVID time was really and the shutdown. Everybody's staying home, not shutdown, but whatever the word is. Lockdown. Yeah. That we're all stuck at home. And one day I got in my car and I drove down to Broadway and Fifth Avenue, and there wasn't one car at the intersection. That's just it was so weird. I could leave my windows open when I slept and not hear the highway humming in the morning.
That sounds like the start of a song right there.
Yeah. And it's a good place to be, really. But anyway, everybody started getting on doing shows. And I remember Steve Mandel had a thing that he did. I remember Keith Urban was doing stuff. Eric Johnson was doing stuff. Even Jeff Beck did some stuff. And I did 175 Facebook Live shows during that time.
Wow.
Yeah. I was numbering them, so that's how I kept track of it. Well, cool. So you both just had that desire to be songwriters. And Rusty, you remember the first song you wrote?
I do, actually. It was a song called Cardboard Mansion. Probably, I was 15, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds like it'd make a good George Jones record, I don't know why. I bet it was straight country, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Country gospel, I guess you'd say.
Okay.
It was about a homeless guy that was just thankful for what he had.
Man, what have you done anything with that song? That's a great idea.
Not really.
Well,
my sister requested it last week on my face on our Facebook Live, and I didn't do it.
Oh man!
Every now and then I'll do it, but yeah, that was the first song I ever wrote.
Well, that's cool. I tell you what, let's give people a chance to listen to Rusty Van Sickle. This is a song called "Forever Next to You." This sounds really good, man. I like this a lot.
Thank you.
You think I'm one of those guys, they fly by night, come morning light, I'll couldn't be more wrong. I come from a long line of lovers, one time and doners. Girl, you're gonna see right where I wanna be. Forever next to you, I'm never letting go, baby, I don't want to. Whatever I gotta do, you know I will, 'cause I just can't stand alone. Forever next to you. If you fall, I'll be there, hold you when you're scared. My only one for the rest of my life, until the day I die. Yeah, that's right. Forever next to you, I'm never letting go, baby, I don't want to. Whatever I gotta do, you know I will, 'cause I just can't stand alone. Forever next to you.
Rusty Van Sickle is our guest, and that is Forever Next to You. Dude, that is a great sounding record.
Thank you.
Yeah. You proud of Papa there, Whitley?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I bet you were there when he cut that, too. Did you get to be a fly on the wall in the studio when he was working on that?
Yeah, I think I was when you were recording the vocals.
In
Wasn't
and
I?
out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, who did the production on that?
It was kind of a cross between myself and Chemo Forest and Kirk Willie.
Nice. Well, that's a great sounding track, man. And you got a lot to be proud of there. You know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wrote that with Keith Dozier. That was actually the first song that he and I ever wrote. I've had a lot of good, I don't know if it's looking back, I don't know what it is about that first time, if you're just trying to prove yourself, you know, it's almost like a first date kind of. Mm-hmm. Like if this doesn't go well, I'm never going on this date again. You know, that's what I felt like when I was younger, especially, you know, I was fortunate. I got put in a room with a lot of people that were a whole lot better than me. And I did my best to pull my weight, you know, and try to impress. And a lot of those first writes, there was always some magic in the room that you know, seemed to happen.
I think that we should run that as a question for all the writers to come in from now on. How was that first song? How was that first co-write? You know, you mentioned a song that you and I wrote. What's it called again?
She's More Than Beautiful.
Yeah, it took me a minute to even remember a shred of that. That was a cool song. Cool song.
Probably around year 2000.
Man.
It was, yeah. Because somebody asked me, I was just talking about this yesterday. They said, how'd you and Jeff Dayton meet? And I said, well, back then I had I don't know if I can say this on a podcast, but a sack full of steel, and I just either stupidness or naive. I didn't care, you know. I'd walk up to anybody like I did with you, and you guys were on stage. I was playing with Doug Stone,
yeah,
and we were opening up for Glenn Campbell, and I was just like, one of these guys got it right, you know. And so I walked out on stage. I was like, any of y'all write? And you looked at me and like, I do. And you want to write? That's the way I was back then.
Well, that's great. I love that. I love that. But you know, that was a great day, and I remember distinctly how you looked up there with your acoustic guitar, and you know, enjoying your voice a lot. And you know, you were talking about getting in rooms with good people. I think your voice is everything about that. Really, I mean. You and I sat with, was it Jason Krupek over at Big Tractor that one time?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And we were, you know, Scott Hendrick's company at the time, and we were playing him some of the stuff you'd written. And he said, you are the best new country male voice that I've heard in 2 years. And I said, well, sign him. And I wish they had, you know, but I mean, it might have been before its time.
Yeah.
You know, everything in its time, right?
The stars just never seemed to quite align on that whole deal.
Yeah. Well, chasing the bunny down Music Row is what I call it. And, you know, a lot of us have gotten, you know, we've gone through 3 pair of tennis shoes trying to catch that rabbit. And it's just not, you know, sometimes it's just not meant to be. I mean, my age now is a shocking number, and I'm still swinging at everything close to the plate, but not to try to be a radio star, just to try to lay down some stuff that I can leave behind that the world, you know, enjoys and I can be proud of. So when I'm gone, the kids go, "Yeah, Dad was okay. He wrote a couple good songs." As one of my kids say, "Yeah, there's some talent there." But that's great. I mean,
It's a tough town.
Yeah. And Whitley, what do you get inspired by about trying to be a songwriter? Because, the three of us have written before. We got a cool little tune.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it about it for you? I mean, but was there a bug that bit you, or what do you remember about that?
Well, a lot of it's just filling up these shoes. I mean, it's hard to walk in your path and just be nearly even a quarter as good as you have been and are. But just trying to share my love of music, and I feel like new country music is just so different than from what I love, and it's hard to find that same passion about music. I don't know.
You might be a good person for this next question that just popped in my mind. There are a lot of guys that are changing what's happening at current country. And are you finding more of what you want? I know those new artists, and why don't you name me a couple?
Yeah, I actually do. It's been, I haven't listened to new country for a long time until I started hearing some of the stuff that Zach Top's doing and
Yes.
Tyler Childers. I like him. He's got some cool songs. And it's never going to be Merle Haggard or Glenn Campbell or anybody like that. But it's cool to hear some new stuff with a little bit of a new feeling, but some of that just familiar sounds and ideas.
Yeah, my son Kessler loves Zach Top. He conned me out of money to go see him at the at the CMA festival last year. But I understand. He's got that traditional thing going on. They used to call that new. Remember when the new traditionals came around? With the people like Alan Jackson. Remember that, Rusty, in the '80s and stuff. And
Well, I remember
Flint Black
I had to. It was a couple of months ago. I called my dad because I'd been sitting watching YouTube, scrolling through YouTube videos. And I come across this video where they were saying that John Denver was he was a pop star back in the day, and I couldn't see that. I was like, John Denver, a pop star, and I called my dad, and I was like, so you were of age when he came out, and I was like, did y'all really think this was like pop music? And my dad was like, yeah, kind of.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, the different times. If you think about it, Glenn Campbell's TV show in the 60s, I think 68 maybe, or 68, because he just vaulted into the public, view at the time. And it was a pop show. He was an LA guy. It was the Hollywood thing, and he had all the Hollywood types on there on his show.
Yeah, his name just slipped my mind, but they showed the clip of the CMAs or whatever it was, award show back in the day. Mm-hmm. And that announcer, John Denver, and he lights it on fire. Have you not seen that?
No.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Oh,
well,
man.
It's not great, but that's what made me call my dad, because they said this guy, he disliked. I wish I could remember. He was a huge name.
So
huge
he was opening the award ballot?
Yeah,
and
And when he announced it, and he says, winner is John Denver, and he pulls out a lighter and lights it.
He must have been ready to be disappointed or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he was not pleased that John won.
Yeah. Well,
And it was, if I could remember his name, you'd know who it was.
CMAs
It was
back-
award show back in the day.
Yeah, well, everybody's, I remember somebody asking Vince Gill what he thought of today's music. And he said, well, it's not my cup of tea, but then again, I'm not Hank Williams' cup of tea. So it does change, and it's a good perspective to have. And rather than, I don't like to slag on anybody, because everybody's done something that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's artists that I don't like, but I can find some songs that I like from them. And I think it's just finding what you like and going with it. And hopefully there's a crowd of people that want to hear it as well.
Yeah, one of the best lines I ever stumbled across in my writing is be yourself till it's your turn.
Yeah. I've always tried to, and I have been guilty about hammering on somebody that I don't like. And I typically try to choose the high road and just not bash somebody for what they do.
Yeah.
Because it's like the whole Morgan Wallen thing. When Morgan first come out, I loved that stuff. I'm not really a fan of some of this later stuff that he's been putting out, and I'm even a fan of. I like rap. Like back in the day, I was a fan of Eminem. I was a Ludacris. I dug that stuff, but that's well, I'll say this though too. I grew up, almost being forced to a degree, but actually loved it, as far as what I was forced to listen to, as far as the old music. Because my granddaddy, to where my parents kind of, we were kind of forced to listen to what we listened to. My granddaddy had an old AM radio that played 24/7 in his garage, and all it was ever on was like the Opry. AM, it was 550 or 5, whatever the call letters are, AM. That's all that ever played in his garage, and I loved that. Like that's where my love of old country, Lefty Frizzell, Merle Haggard, the Don Williams, all that stuff is, listening to that radio out there in the garage. Now, when I moved to Tennessee in 97 and started playing with Doug Stone, I rebelled like no one has ever rebelled before. And that's when I was on my own kind of for the first time.
Yeah. And
one of my best friends, he was just rock and roller. He liked The Buzz, and that was the name of the 102.9 The Buzz in Nashville. And all they played was just hard rock. And I went, and then I just rebelled hard and went down that road, and all I started listening to, because, up to that point, living in Ohio, county farm kid, I went to bed every night dreaming about playing music for a living.
Wow.
And doing it, and woke up with the same dream and worked all day in my granddaddy's construction company, just waiting for the moment of getting to move to Tennessee and play music for a living. And it happened. My uncle called me up. It was 1997, early part. And I take it back, because Doug he was having a log cabin built over on 49 in Springfield, and they weren't done with it yet, and his lease in Brentwood was up. He had to get out of the house. So he bought another house in the subdivision where my uncle lived in Springfield. And that's how I actually met Doug Stone. And my uncle had played him 3 songs that Ed King of Leonard Skinner. And that's a whole nother long story in itself, because my father-in-law was best friends with Ed King at one time. And when Kara and I started dating, he said, there's a guy I think you should meet. I didn't know who Leonard Skinner was. I did not.
I guess you didn't rebel all that hard then, did you?
I can put my hand on a Bible and say the first time I ever met Ed, I didn't know him from Adam.
That's funny. I got to tell you, in Minneapolis, I was in a band that was not doing well, and our agency, took the time to tell us, you guys need to change your set list, because we were just, we were lost in the, we did everything from Joni Mitchell to the Bee Gees. We didn't know what we were doing. And they said, there's this new song that you should learn. It's by a group called Lynyrd Skynyrd. But, wow, that's something else. Ed King's Red Eye guitar, by the way, is the one that Jason Isbell plays. That Les Paul. With
is that right?
Yeah, and it had a hang tag on it, which is why it protected that red paint, and it gave it that red eye look to it.
How about that?
Yeah, he paid, I think, somewhere in the north of $450,000 for that guitar from Walter Carter.
No, I was telling somebody else a story the other day. It's funny how some things just how the little snowflake turns into a snowball, and then just how it keeps morphing into something else. Because I had saved up, I think it was back in the day, I was Whitley's, I was younger than Whitley at the time. I worked for my granddaddy for basically a whole summer to save up money to buy a Tascam 4-track recorder. It was like $400 and some plus tax back in the day. And man, for a 16-year-old kid,
oh yeah,
that was a lot of money.
Yeah, when I was in the high school band in 7th grade, because we had such a small school that 7 through 12 was the high school, and they had a candy sales contest for whoever sold the most band candy, the most money for the marching band, got a prize from the catalog. And my prize, I won that prize. I wanted that little tiny tape recorder with, they're smaller than Krispy Kreme donuts, with reels of tape, and I was off and running it. I just had the bug. So speaking of growing up in Ohio, I think this would be a good time to play a little something. This is a song you and I wrote, and I know it's self-promotion, but I sure like this song. This is Rusty Van Sickle singing a song that we wrote together about his grandpa. Whitley, have you heard this one?
Oh yeah.
All right, good.
Tackle box and an old Chris Craft, bucket full of worms and a bent straw hat. Summers used to be full of days like that, out there fishing with Grandpa. Water like a mirror and a red sunrise, young boy learning through an old man's eyes. Days like that, the time sure flies, out there fishing with Grandpa. Another sun's going down on us, but it ain't set on the man. Out there fishing with Grandpa, nothing like fishing with Grandpa. I'll be fishing with Grandpa as long as I still can. Drift up to shore and pull in the shade, have a little lunch and some lemonade. Bologna sandwiches Grandma made, out there fishing with Grandpa. You tell me stories about days gone by, Ohio farming and Kentucky shine. I know my roots and my bloodline, all from fishing with Grandpa. Another sun's going down on us, but it ain't set on the man. Out there fishing with Grandpa, nothing like fishing with Grandpa. I'll be fishing with Grandpa as long as I still can. Just us two on the lake alone, miles from the crazy life I know. I still feel like a kid half grown, out there fishing with Grandpa. Another sun's going down on us, but it ain't set on the...
I got the feels. You did too, didn't you? I'm looking at Rusty. He's feeling what I'm feeling. You know, that's a strong song, Boot. Can you feel it?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs.
Oh, that's great.
I didn't know you could do that to me.
Well, I didn't plan on giving you the feels, man. I say my feelings were pushing right up against the back of my eyeballs. I could hardly help it. You know, that's a good song, and I think that might show up somewhere. You never know. I'm going to be putting out a record called My Songs, Other Voices, and that's going on there. Just to, help spread these songs that never really get heard anymore. They're sitting in a publisher's hard drive, and nobody even knows that they're there. I got 85 songs that I brought to Black River, and I wrote another 75 with when I was there, and they don't know the first one of them. There's just archives of something.
That was a better time in my life.
Well, that was. I just remember learning so much about you writing that song because it was all about your life. In fact, we were leaving. We were writing in the basement of the Nashville Songwriters building over there on, the music mill. And I said, with such and such, we're going to write on Monday. He said, no, I'm going to be fishing with Grandpa. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I said, hey, we should write that. So we got back. You got back into town, and
He passed 3 years ago.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry to hear that.
And it's been incredibly tough.
Yeah. Well, I can hear from your stories how much he meant to you. I mean, that AM radio in the shop,
Yeah.
That's something else. Did you hear stories about your great-grandpa?
I was lucky enough to spend a lot of time with my great-grandpa. And I might even go as far to say I spent more time with my great-grandparents than my first grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very grateful for that because most people don't get that opportunity.
Yeah.
And that song's hard for me too because it's just, I spent a lot of time with him and I don't know. It's just...
Yeah. I know it was sort of unfair. I threw you a hard fastball when you sent over the songs thinking that we were going to hear those, and I snuck in that old song. That must be 20 years old at least.
I wrote a lot of songs, and that probably is. That's just for the context, I guess, of it. That's probably my favorite thing I've ever wrote.
All right. Well, thanks. You know, so Whitley, you are obviously named for somebody that means a lot to your dad. You know, I had the pleasure of getting to meet Keith Whitley a couple times and doing shows with him. First time was in Phoenix, where he was headlining at Mr. Lucky's, and the Jeff Dayton band was, you know, Glenn Campbell's band already, and we were riding a wave, man. And I remember how good he was. And I found a video cassette tape of that show, and I donated it to the Country Music Hall of Fame Museum, and they have no idea where it is. It's like, well, that was
Really?
a good donation, I guess. I hope you're going to dig it out and play it somewhere. It'd be like a song in the drawer. And then not long after that, we were playing Hazard, Kentucky with Glenn, and at the Gold Rush days. Keith was there, and we were, you know, it was Glenn Campbell at that time, and Keith was our opening act. And, you know, he's from East Kentucky there, I think, right? And I just remember him walking around with that fringed leather jacket that he wore quite a lot. And the funny thing about it was he was all by himself in this building that was it was on the campus of the college or something. It was supposed to be our green room, you know, but it's just like miles of hallways and staircases. And I remember sensing that he felt really alone. There was something about that, you know, he was just kind of wandering, and maybe he wanted to be left alone. I don't know, maybe he did better shows. But I say this, you know, people talked about his alcohol and those types of things, but what I saw was a focused, sober performer. You know, he was really, when he was amazing live.
Yeah.
You know, and you know this, Whitley, you should know this too, that his steel guitar player was Carson Chamberlain, and that's who produces Zach Top.
Yeah, I've heard that name.
Yeah. Did you feel a certain kinship to Keith Whitley at all, bearing that name, or was it just coincidence for you?
I mean, it feels like, again, a lot of just big shoes to fill. Because, to be honest with you, I've never sang a Keith Whitley song in a live performance because I don't want to be the one to mess it up and be the one to just bring it down. And it just feels like it's big shoes to fill. No. He's just such an amazing performer, has such a beautiful voice, and just really gets it across.
Yeah. One of my, you know, I call them desert island songs. Like if I had 5 songs I used to talk about in shows, if I could only take 5 songs and a guitar to a desert island, what would I sing? And No Stranger to the Rain is absolutely one of the top 5 songs I would take with me. Yeah, just killer stuff.
That music video was recorded here in Nashville, wasn't it?
I don't know about the video. I don't know.
I
I do know that I've played with Tommy Heller, who was one of the guys who wrote that song, and we were playing out in Kingston Springs for Debbie Champion's at the filling station, doing a benefit for the animal shelter out there. And it was fun to hear the guy that wrote the song do it completely differently from the way the record was done.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was just totally different. He was a co-writer on it, but he was banging away on it like Jerry Foster would do on one of his hits, you know, like, you know, cowboy chords and the finesse of the record that they did, you know, that record. I remember also that Matt Rawlings was pretty new. He was a pal of ours from Phoenix, and that was one of his early big records that he played on, which put him, you know, beyond the Nashville greats, you know.
I was 13 years old when I first heard the Keith Whitley record. I think maybe it was Don't Close Your Eyes that my dad had.
Yep.
And it was from like that moment on that made me want to play music for a living. It's like at 13, I knew what I wanted to do with my life. Yeah. And the first song I ever so in 7th grade, I was still playing drums, and we had a show and tell, you know, everybody, or like a talent show kind of thing.
Couldn't possibly have a girlfriend
gymnasium.
Playing drums,
So I did actually take my drums and set them up at school, and I played Can't Do With Flying Colors in 7th grade on drums.
Wow.
And when I was a freshman then, when I started playing guitar. And the very first song of his I ever learned was Never Go Around Mirrors.
Oh, man.
It's weird because at a young age, even at that young of an age, those were the songs that I actually, like, I felt like I was feeling. It was like I could feel the heartbreak. And this morning I get up, and I never knew this because I didn't know what we were going to do today, if we were going to play songs. And I was going to say, well, this is the first one I ever learned. And I'm scrolling on Facebook for a few minutes this morning, and I'm friends with one of the Frizzels on Facebook, one of the daughters or granddaughters, and she said, my dad, and I never knew this until I actually learned this morning, that Keith had, I think it was now I forget if it was David or Alan. It was Lefty's brother. Actually sang the backgrounds on Keith Whitley's, on the record version of I Never Go Around Mirrors.
Man, that's a great song too. Tell me, is there anybody in current country music that does that for you like that? Can you name an artist or two that you've been running across? You go, man, finally.
Chris was the first person I think I've ever listened to that made me not want to sing.
Really? Was it that just because he was that good?
Just because he was that good.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
I've always felt like I could, and it's just, you've got to have some cockiness to make it in this business, because so many people are going to shut you down to begin with. If you don't think you're great, you're not going to make anybody else believe you're great. And I've always not tried to come off with that attitude, like I'm better than you. There's always been something musically inside of me, though, that felt with like anybody I listen to, like I can sing that.
That's the old joke. Yeah, I can do that.
And then when Chris came along, it's like I can't do that.
I know. And, there's a bunch of other guys like that, too. I'm glad that Matt Dame finally scored himself a record deal. I heard that earlier this year.
Oh, I hadn't heard.
Yeah, and one of those guys, he'd been singing with the Steel Drivers, but for years he was just bouncing around doing demos for everybody, and nobody that I know ever knew why he didn't get signed to a big deal, because his voice. Like, I've had him sing some of my songs, and it ruins him for me. Because all I'm doing is comparing,
Yeah, but you got to have modesty, because I've been around those guys that think they're, that their stuff don't stink and that they're better than anything else. And
Matt's not one of those guys.
And you don't want to be around those people.
Yeah.
Zach Top probably is, right now, he's the countryest thing I've heard in a while. I still think is traditional sounding and doing country music justice.
Yeah. Whitley, do you feel that kinship to those old songs like, Never Go Around Mirrors, or any of that old, the great dig into your heart country songwriting, like Sonny Throckmorton's song, The Way I Am, Merle Haggard?
That's a great song.
Oh, that's a great song. It kill you with one word. The way I am, don't fit my shackles. The way I am, reality. Like 3 syllables, one word. Oh, well, that's 4. I didn't do that well.
But yeah, I do. I mean, those are great songs that's what I listen to. That's what I love to play and love to sing. And that's the music that I grew up with. Even in this age, I was lucky enough to be able to grow up with that music. And that's what just really strikes a chord in my heart. And that's what I love to hear.
Do you find that showing up in your songwriting?
I think so, yeah. I don't think I've wrote a happy song yet.
We'll work on that one.
Maybe we have.
Yeah. But when you've got those guys that are setting the bar so high for you, do you feel it as a songwriter that you just really want to reach?
Yeah, it's kind of like, it feels like I'm reaching up at an apple tree, trying to reach up for that tall fruit, and I'm just a little bit too shy of it, and I don't think I'm going to grow anymore. And it's hard sometimes, but I mean, maybe I'll get a ladder or something like that. You
ever listen back to, you're 19, so there's not a deep catalog to go back on, but do you listen to your early stuff and go, wow, did I suck?
It's funny you say that, because sometimes I go back and listen to like little guitar pieces that I've recorded on my phone. And I'm like, man, maybe I used to be better. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe not. Hey, let's play another song of Rusty's here. This is one called Back in Tennessee, and we're going to enjoy Rusty Van Sickle, folks.
Back in Tennessee, she's sitting on the couch watching her favorite show. She says it ain't that funny when she's sitting all alone. Baby, when you coming home? Back in Tennessee, there's a little boy that's playing in a stroller. And Lord knows that I miss him on my shoulder. Every day he's getting older. Back in Tennessee, life goes on with without me. I know that she is so tired of being lonely. As far as I can see, the only thing that's missing there is me. Wish I could be back in Tennessee.
Man, Rusty, okay, I'm going to just say for the audiences, you know, and for your edification, man, there's no reason that you're not a radio star with that voice. And that was one of the first things about you. I was just like, dude, this guy can sing so well. And we have a song called Nothing Beats Being Home. And I put that thing out there, you know, for the world. And I think if they'd have heard your voice on it, they'd have gone, oh, now I get it, you know, because that, I say, Rusty is this country is dried mud, man. He just like, I love it. And just, I love our friendship too, man.
Likewise.
Yeah, appreciate you. You know, here's the thing. We go through what I call the curse of the creative. You know, artist schizophrenia. Taylor Swift came along later and called it the Tortured Poets Society. You know, I think all of us in creativity suffer from the same malaise, and that is we suck and we just can't, you know, we get into that deep end of our self-pity or the doubt or the frustration or we aren't where we think we ought to be yet or all that stuff. And then some days we're riding high, we got the top down, it's a sunny day, there's a pretty girl next to us and we're just going, wee, you know, it's just great. But, you know, that's that yo-yo from one end to the other, you know, and I'm sure both of you agree, Whitley? Do you ever feel like that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What about you, Rusty?
Oh, there's most of my life I've been my own worst enemy.
Well, folks, do us all a favor and check out Rusty's record. It's called Stepping Stone, and I'm sure it's streaming out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's on Apple and pretty much anywhere you can get digital music.
Yeah, we need this. We need to say this, too, that if you go there, please subscribe to these channels for Rusty and for when Whitley gets his channel together, you know. And
yeah, we do a Facebook Live, and well, it's on YouTube every Wednesday night too at 6 p.m. Central Time.
I was riding along with you this last week.
Yeah, it's always great to see my friends that I don't think are going to be in there. So yes, thank you.
Well, bro, you are one of, and I don't mean that in a gratuitous way. You are one of my favorite people I've ever known in town. And I remember this too. Back when there was some stuff going on in my life that wasn't real pretty, had to do with, you know, people that I didn't know were not trustworthy, being untrustworthy. And I remember you stepping up and speaking up for me. It meant the world. So appreciate that.
Brother.
Yeah, man. Okay, we're going to get the feels again. Let's hear some more music, and then we'll close this off here in a second. This is one called Real People. I would say you are one. Up-tempo, bring us home, baby.
On my block, we've got old man Riley. Put 40 years on the Coos Bay line. Nobody knows why they call him Smiley. Ain't been the same since the railroad died. There's Jane in her robe, headed to the mailbox, dragging little Billy, pitching one of his fits. She'll hand him off later to his daddy at the boat dock, on her way to cooking at the barbecue pit. They're just real people, playing out the hand that they hold. Folks with names, not some numbers game in some politician's poll. They're just real people, not actors decked in diamonds and pearls. This ain't TV or a movie screen, it's real people.
Rusty Van Sickle there. He's one of the realest people I know, man. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's just a beautiful person all the way around, man. And Whitley, thank you for being part of this.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, it's just so much fun because it's like the second generation. I have never done a three-way podcast before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so not only is this your first podcast, this is my first, trifecta here. So I appreciate it. Folks, there's something about being in the music business that's appealing and terrifying at the same time. Would you guys agree?
I would every single day.
Yeah.
It's like riding a bike, only the bike's on fire. and everything around you's on fire.
Oh my gosh.
And you're just pedaling.
You look like it's the duck's feet underwater. The duck looks all calm on the outside and his feet are just working like that. So, well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this episode with Rusty Van Sickle and his son Whitley. And say hi to Kara for me.
Will do. She said to tell you hello and thank you for having us.
Well, you betcha. And all you got to do now is say bye-bye.
See you later.
See ya.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Hey, baby.
Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this show. We invite you to check out all the other episodes and share this channel with all of your friends. Until next time, peace.